Hola Comadres, welcome to another episode of Comadreando podcast. I'm your host Marcy, and today we have an amazing guest, Suzie, and I will let her introduce herself. Who are you?
Hi. I'm Suzie. I'm the founder and executive director of a nonprofit called Fast Feet NYC. We are based here in New York City, and we provide adaptive and inclusive running programs for children and young adults with developmental and physical disabilities.
Awesome. Okay, so today's topic, Comadres, is extracurricular activities for kids with special needs. And the reason why the topic came up is because we have actually mentioned this before in the program, and we're looking for ways to support our kids and enrich their lives. And running is definitely one of those things that can help our children be more like their typically developing peers. So I heard of the program via my friend Lenny Gonzalez, which actually works with Fast Feet. Lenny and I have been friends since I was 18, I want to say, and he works with the children there, and he was telling me about it for my son. So I wanted to share with the comadres, just to get the word out there, and for people to learn more about it, because it's always like a thing, like people don't find anything to do with their kids either on the weekends or after school. So this is something this can be an option for them. So before we get into the topic itself, what is your profession?
My profession. So I am the executive director of Fast Feet, which is the nonprofit that I started about 4 years ago. Prior to starting Fast Feet, I was a public school mathematics teacher and a youth running coach. So I was able to sort of combine two of my passions, running and education and working with children, and to really, see a need, as you were saying, for inclusive athletic programming for children of all abilities, both neurodiverse, children with physical disabilities, and neurotypical children. And I was, saw really a lack of adaptive athletic programs for, so many kids here in New York City. And I really wanted to, like I said, marry two of my passions and start this nonprofit. And it has been pretty amazing 4 years, and watching it grow, and all these amazing people in our community who have supported it and really helped us flourish. And, fast forward 4 years, here we are, 800 families involved in our programs. And we've been able to expand to Boston, Albany, Los Angeles, and Detroit. So it's been pretty exciting, journey so far.
Okay, so what was the thought process behind that decision? Because I'm a public school teacher as well. I'm a special education teacher. So what was like the thought process of? I know you like marry two of the things that you love the most, right? But what was it that like kind of sparked that in you to like be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is my decision?
Yeah. So it was through a friend. Like I said, I had been, teaching math at a middle school in Bushwick, and a co-teacher of mine, the English teacher, we decided to start an after-school running club for our students. We had about 50 kids sign up for the first season. We had so much fun, running outside, and in the winter it was cold, but we were out there doing it, having a blast. And around the same time, I had a really close friend working at a school for children with autism. And he suggested that, his school really hadn't had a lot of sports offered at their school. Obviously, they have adaptive PE, but not a ton of other extracurricular sports or after-school sports clubs. And he thought running could be a great start for the school. So he connected us, and I went into that school, and I started, just a small once or twice a week running club for about 20 students at that school, working with their adaptive PE teacher, occupational therapists, physical therapists. And that's where I really fell in love with, this work and working with children with autism, and all of the amazing teachers and instructors and therapists that are involved in these schools. So that really sparked I think like the love of this work, and it also really opened my eyes to the need in New York City for inclusive athletic programming.
I love that. Yeah, like throughout my journey as an autism mom, because my son's already 13 years old, it's been a challenge to find extracurricular activities for him to do, especially that are geared towards children with autism, because it's like there's some programs that are all inclusive, which is there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I feel like kids on the spectrum have different types of needs than other kids. So, like, the fact that your program is catering to kids on the spectrum specifically, but I mean, it's not excluding anybody, but it's geared towards them is like really amazing. So the special, why special needs kids exactly? I know why, like you fell in love with it, but what is it about working with them that you find really fulfilling?
I think I find it so fulfilling because their progress is so exciting, and you become so invested. For example, we've had kids who have literally jumped 2 feet at a time for the first time ever, during one of our practices. Or we had a child who diagnosed with autism and cerebral palsy. His doctor said he would never run in his life, and he ran a whole lap of the track for the first time at Fast Feet. So these are like really incredible moments that, I feel like really lucky to be able to experience on a weekly basis. So if you come to a practice and you volunteer or you just watch, you're just like, wow, like this is amazing. We have just students really pushing past any limitations that maybe have been placed on them, or just doing pretty incredible things while still just being a kid and having a lot of fun with their teammates. Really having fun, getting competitive and racing, having their parents watch them. So I think it's just really special to watch those huge milestones occur, season after season, week to week. We've seen huge progression, and then also celebrating that really small progression. Let's say a child was able to focus for 15 minutes straight at practice, and then the next week 20 minutes straight. Like that's huge, that they were able to stay on task, follow directions, be engaged for that extra 5 minutes compared to the previous week. So you get to celebrate the small progressions and then also like the huge milestones. It's so hard to like not be excited.
Yeah. So the good thing about running is that it integrates proprioceptive input and everything else. So it's kind of like a whole body experience. It's not just like you're just running with your legs. Like it's so much more, and it integrates all the senses as well. I feel like running teaches you to be inside your body, which a lot of our kids on the spectrum have trouble with, like regulating their emotions and really recognizing like things that are coming up for themselves. So it at least for me, when I'm running, it helps me like kind of zone into the moment and not be worried about everything else that's going on. It helps me learn how to check in with my body, like, okay, my breath is doing this, my legs are doing this, my arms should be doing this, and having you guys coach the kids and like teach them to be more aware of their own bodies, I feel like it's something that's really, really powerful in a way that, running is not just running. Like you can take those skills and apply it to other aspects of your life as well, which is amazing. But I love it. So what parks in New York City do you guys usually operate out of? I know you guys are expanding to other states, but here in New York City, where can we find Fast Feet?
Yeah, so we are lucky enough to partner with both schools and communities. So our community programs, which occur after school and on weekends, we have programs, I'll go north to south, Westchester County, Sleepy Hollow. And then we have a program in the Bronx, which your friend coaches. And then that's in Van Cortlandt Park. We have our Manhattan program, which is in East Harlem, Thomas Jefferson Park. And then in Brooklyn, we have 2 programs, one in Williamsburg at McCarran Track. And then finally, a program in Bay Ridge at Fort Hamilton High School athletic field. So we really try to diversify our locations. We would love to expand to Queens and Staten Island in the coming year, so we can be in every borough. And then, like I said, we also have programs in public, private, and charter schools that serve children with autism or developmental differences.
Awesome. I think you guys worked with my son's school, PS138, at one point. I know he was part of some kind of running program, and they eventually they donated sneakers to them or something, and it was like a weekly thing that they would do. But yeah, like running is amazing. I'm glad that the kids are able to participate and that you guys are like literally all over the city. What else? I wanted to ask you, what are some, like, can you give me a couple more like memorable moments during the program? Like, you don't have to say the names of the children. You can say, you know, whatever age or, you know, sex or whatever, and then like kind of give us like a little tidbit of something that like really sticks out in your head from the 4 years that you guys have been operating.
Yeah, so I have a couple. I mean, we're, like I said, we're lucky to have just be able to witness kids doing amazing things every week. But just a couple that stand out in my mind. One is a boy who has been with us since 2019. He was probably around 9 years old when he started with us, and he would not do, he's a boy with autism, and he would not do anything without holding his mom's hand and hiding behind her back on the track. And, he was very shy and reluctant to be social with the team, and really struggled with staying on task and following directions. Fast forward to now, it's 2022. He's about 12, 13 years old, and he is 100% independent on the track. He doesn't need a one-to-one. His mom doesn't. He comes with, his grandma. His mom doesn't even need to come to the program anymore. He can lead drills. He's the first one to know, the structure of our practice, and just watching his transformation to becoming independent on the track and not needing that literal physical handhold. That's just a small example of something that, yes, he's made a lot of physical progress. He can run a full mile. He did a 5K. When he started walking around the track once was really difficult.
Amazing.
But also, that independence, right? That's what we always go for as educators and parents, right? It's like we're working towards having our kids be independent in whatever they want to do, and track and running included. So that, for me, has been really special to watch his journey. We've also had kids who have started the program with leg braces, and they have progressed so much in PT, OT, and Fast Feet that they've been able to remove their leg braces. Those are obviously huge moments for them.
Amazing.
We've had, actually yesterday, one of our kids, he's about 12, and he uses a walking device. So in Fast Feet, we one of the ways we measure progress is we do 1 lap or 400 meters, a time trial at the first week and the last week. So we see how much faster we got over 8 weeks of practice and training together. And this boy uses, 2 braces that are walking devices to help him walk and be mobile on the track. He cut down his time by over 2 minutes over the span of 8 weeks. So that's like a huge jump in fitness and strength.
Oh my God.
And he was so excited. His mom was so excited. So that's like an example of a huge physical gain in fitness.
Yeah.
We've also had kids who are super nervous about, racing. And taking them to like the Brooklyn Mile, for example, right? That's a really big deal. There's a lot of people that race all different speeds, and getting them to not be so nervous about racing, and actually see it as a really exciting thing. And that's a huge improvement too of, okay, I'm going to stand on the starting line. I'm really nervous. I'm in a huge group. There's a lot of sensory overload. My mom is not there. My mom's at the finish line. But I'm going to be really brave and stand on the start line and do a full mile while strangers are cheering me on. And, there's sensory distractions on either side of me, but I'm going to focus and do the race. So, those are just 3 examples of just amazing things that our kids do every day. So again, I just really lucky to get to witness it.
What about speech wise? Do you notice children that are like limited verbal, or like tend to be like more nonverbal, like speaking more after participating, like after a few weeks in the program?
Definitely. So like you said, we have kids who are totally nonverbal, and then we whole spectrum of kids who are very verbal, and then somewhere in the middle we do have kids who show a lot more higher willingness to communicate verbally once they get more comfortable in the program, once they feel that this is a safe space for me. They get used to the volunteers and the coaches and friends, and they want to really try to work on their verbal skills and communicating with their coaches and friends and volunteers. So we've certainly seen a lot of verbal development from our athletes as the season progresses. I've also heard both from parents and teachers that their child will open up to them a little bit more after Fast Feet. So whether that may be wanting to share what happened during practice with mom, it may be like, exercise does change our brain chemistry, and maybe after running they feel more willing to share something with mom. And we've also had teachers and parents say that their child is able to perform at a higher level in school after running. I think there's a lot of research on that as well. The benefits of running correlated with education. So like you said, it's not just physical development. There's so many positives that can come from running, especially in a team and social environment. And whether that's verbally or academically or just they're sleeping better, that's also a huge portion as well.
Yeah. Like a lot of the parents, a lot of the comadres and the listeners, their kids have issues sleeping. And I know for a fact, for me, when I'm having, because I have issues sleeping like during seasonal changes, and my son as well. So what we do is that we integrate walking into our routine to help us kind of like wind the day down and kind of work off that extra like nervous energy, and it helps a lot. So I've seen it in the classroom, and I've seen it also like within my son, that having like hard physical activities, not right before bed, because that spikes your adrenaline, but like a few hours before bed can help a lot with the transition into sleep later on in the day. Yeah, so that's I'm sure the parents are very grateful for that.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten messages of like, thank you so much. My kid slept 11 hours last night. Like,
Oh my
best
God,
night
that's
ever. Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
I mean, I know for myself, like after a nice hard run, I sleep a lot better compared to days where you don't run or you just do, ride your bike. And I personally see a difference in my sleep patterns based on running and exercise.
Amazing. So I have a question. So you have to have a very special team. I know that for a fact, because to do the work that you guys do and show up every week and take care of these kids and run this program, you have to have very special people working in your staff. Like, so I wanted to ask, what helps you make a decision to choose your staff? Like, is there anything that you look for in particular to be like, yep, this is the person that should be working with our kids?
Yes, great question. So what makes our programs great are our coaches. They are incredible. And many of them, we really recruit coaches through our school partners. So many of our coaches are currently teaching at a school for children with autism, or they're a special education teacher. And we also want our coaches to live or teach in the community that they are coaching Fast Feet. So for our Bay Ridge program, we have a ton of our coaches. We have 6 coaches for our Bay Ridge program because it's so large. And the vast majority of them are teachers in the Bay Ridge area. So they might already know some of the runners through school. They already have, that really important background knowledge of how to best communicate and work with children with autism or children with disabilities. So we really prioritize, selecting coaches who have that background of working with students with autism or developmental difference, plus then also having that background knowledge of running. So we do have coaches who, for example, one of our coaches in East Harlem, she was a collegiate track athlete, and she's also a teacher at NYC Autism Charter School. So, she really has the best of both worlds, having that background knowledge of being a collegiate runner, plus being a teacher of children with autism. So we really emphasize finding coaches with, that both background knowledge of both running, athletics, special education. And then, I think to do this work, you have to be a great person and be really passionate about it. So, they're all just the most amazing, kind, energetic, loyal people. So, our kids love them. If a coach is absent, they're like, where's Coach Will? We miss him so much. They grow to have that attachment. So we're lucky to be able to find some pretty amazing coaches that make our programs great.
Okay. So one of the things that I look for sure when I am when I get to meet my son's teachers is whether they have people with special needs in their lives, because I feel like not only do you need the experience working with children with special needs, but if you have people in your life that are close to you that have special needs, you have a different sensibility and understanding of what their needs are as a person. So I feel like that is very, very important. So I wanted to ask you, what is your vision for Fast Feet within the next 5 years?
Great question. So our vision, we are working really hard to expand our programs nationally. Like I said, now we have obviously our hub here in New York City, our largest group of programming. And this year alone, we've expanded to Albany in upstate New York, Boston, Detroit, and Los Angeles. So, that's 4 new locations plus New York City. So we're in 5 different locations. Over the next 5 years, we'd love to expand, to 15 new locations. I would love to have Fast Feet in every state in America. But that might be more of like a 10-year goal. But in 5 years, we definitely would love to expand to 15 new locations. And as we expand, we hear really similar sentiments of, we don't really have anything like this program where we live. Our kids deserve inclusive athletic programs that are tailored to best support them and fit their needs. So, we really hear over and over the same thing of, there's just a need for athletic programs that best serve students with autism or a physical disability or a developmental disability. And, we hear that, and just kind of inspires us to keep working hard to expanding our programs, make them as accessible as possible and supportive as possible for our athletes and our families too.
I really love that. So I have a question. Are there any children that you guys are like, no, we can't work with that athlete at the moment?
All children are welcome in our programs. We do ask that they be at least 5 years old, though, and have experienced a structured either kindergarten class or a PE class. So we do have our age range does start at 5. That's definitely the youngest that we've seen success, but there's no age limit. So we have people in our program who are 46 years old.
Wow.
So it's a huge range. But no, if we make every effort to support every child, whether that be we're hiring an ASL interpreter, or we're hiring an occupational therapist, or we're getting extra volunteers to make sure everybody has a one-to-one. We really make every effort to allow everybody to join our programs.
I love that. So okay, that's great. And what else was I gonna ask you? You are a very busy woman, so I wanted to ask you, what does self-care look like for you?
Yes. I've always been really good at kind of compartmentalizing, I think. I was, like I said, I ran cross country and track in college. So, that's kind of the beginning of, having high level academic studies and balancing that with like 20 hours a week of training with your team, traveling all over the country for races. So that was really good preparation, I think, for like starting your own nonprofit and business. But I would say self-care for me looks like prioritizing my own time to run and exercise. That's like a non-negotiable for me every day. I usually try to do it in the mornings and meet up with friends to do it. So that's probably the biggest thing I do for myself every day. That's like a non-negotiable is finding time to run or go to the gym, seeing if I can do it with friends, training partners. Mm-hmm. And then I like to eat really healthy as well. So I think those two things make me feel good every day. I'm an expert sleeper, like we talked about earlier. I sleep really well. So that's what I kind of joke is like my biggest talent is sleeping really well. So I'm able to like get up every day and be like, okay, I feel good. I got me 8 hours. I'm ready to go.
I love that. Okay, so walk me through let's say the initial session of like when the kids come to Fast Feet. Like, what can they expect? Like when they show up, like what is the structure more or less of that day, and then like going forward every time they come back?
Yes, yeah. So we do our best to keep our structure of each practice consistent, but we switch up the exercises within each section. So each practice is novel, but we build familiarity and confidence by keeping the structure of each practice the same. So when kids come, especially during the first practice, we really emphasize introductions, making sure our coaches and our volunteers are learning the names of each child. We're learning what each child needs to be successful. So we always start our season with introductions, learning everybody's name, making sure we feel comfortable introducing ourselves to parents. And then, we always start the beginning of the season with a more, modest physical load. And then each week we progress a little bit more. So for the first practice, we start with a very easy warm up. We incorporate a lot of walk runs. So we might walk the curve of the track, run the straight part, walk the curve, run the straight part. And the first practice, we're doing that one time. So that's a quarter mile warm up. And then we transition to drills. So, high knees and butt kicks, skipping, side shuffle, more dynamic drills to help build athleticism, body awareness, coordination for our kids. Then we'll transition to an endurance section. So we might do a full lap of the track. We might do 2 laps. After that, we take a little break, and then we'll regroup for agility stations. So we could be running through over mini hurdles, or doing a zigzag drill, or doing a relay race. Just again, these are things that build athleticism and keep it fun. Because, we're, for our kids, and I think a lot of youth athletes, just having them run for an hour is not what we want to be building. We want to keep it fun. We want to keep it engaging. We want to build different skills. And so we really try to incorporate a lot of different components during our practice. And then towards the end, we start to cool down. We might do a really easy walk, cool down of the track, and then finish with a stretching circle in which every child gets the opportunity to lead a stretch, building those leadership skills. So, again, we kind of keep that structure the same for each practice, but we change up the exercises to keep it novel, to keep them guessing, but they're like, okay, I know it's time to warm up. Then we have endurance, then we have agility, then we have cool down. So that helps build familiarity and confidence.
That's amazing. I love that. It's so important for our kids to have that structure and like to have the predictability. Like, even if it's not the same exercise that you're doing every week, but the fact that that, okay, the first 5 minutes we're gonna do this, the next 10 minutes we're gonna do this, and this is how the day's gonna go. It helps also minimize behavior issues, and also minimize the potential for meltdowns, because a lot of our kids, when things change, like all of a sudden, or the structure isn't the same, they tend to have issues with the change in routine. So I love that you guys keep that kind of like consistent routine throughout the program. So Suzie, final question is, how can the comadres sign up their kids for, well, no, wait, before that. Question. Do you get state subsidies or anything, or like grants to help you fund the program, or how is it that Fast Feet is able to thrive?
Yeah. So we really try to diversify our revenue sources. As a 501c3 nonprofit, it's really important to not be totally reliant on government funding, or totally reliant on a grant, or totally reliant on a fundraiser. So we really try to get financial support through a variety of mediums. We have been pretty lucky with grant funding from foundations. So, we're super thankful for those foundations for supporting us. We don't receive government funding, but a lot of our students do pay for our programs through self-direction and OPWDD. So that is a really great resource for families, and allows them to choose to use the funds that they receive from New York State to pay for our programs. So it's not coming out of our families' pockets; it's coming from state funding, and we have, a number of great individual donors. We have some corporate sponsors. So, we have school contracts as well. So, we'll partner with a school, we'll partner with the Department of Education, implement our programs for these schools. And then that allows us to also self-fund. So we're proud of being a social enterprise and being able to have a little bit more independence and flexibility than some other nonprofits. But to your point, we really try to diversify where our money is coming from, so we're not totally reliant on one revenue stream. I think during the pandemic, that certainly opened a lot of people's eyes to, okay, wow, I really have to pivot and make sure that we can be financially secure and independent, and let's figure out a variety of ways that we can make sure that happens.
I love that. Okay. So, Suzie, how can parents sign their children up for the program? And when does the new season start? Because I know you guys just finished the summer season.
Parents can sign up their child for our programs on our website. So our website is fastfeetnyc.com. And under a programs tab, we have New York Fall Track. So again, parents can sign up their child for our after school and weekend programs on our website. Again, we accept all self-direction funding. So if a parent has self-direction, we accept it. Our fall season begins the week of September 19th. So we'll get about 3 weeks of break. Myself and our director of programs, we're actually heading out to Los Angeles to start up our California programs out there next week. So that's really exciting. And then when we get back, we'll pick up with our New York City programs. So again, those programs are in the Bronx, Westchester, East Harlem, Williamsburg, and Bay Ridge. And they kick off on September 19th for 8 weeks. So we'll go through, I think November 13th will be our final practice in the fall.
That's awesome. Okay. So that's pretty much it. I love your program. I believe in everything you guys stand for. And I love the fact that you're like a teacher as well. It's like, what I would hope for an after school program or like an enrichment program to have somebody that has a background in education to work with our kids as well. Because it's like, not that other people that don't have a background in education are not qualified, but you've been in the trenches, so to speak, and you know what it is to work with our kids, and then not only that, but you're bringing that knowledge and helping other people that are working with you and the coaches as well, which is amazing.
We just hired our first director of programs, Danielle, and she was 13 years as a special education teacher in public schools, charter schools, private schools. So her knowledge is incredible. And like that asset that we now have from her, 13 years as a New York City special education teacher, plus being a runner, plus being really involved with Fast Feet.
Yeah.
Having her as an asset now, we're super excited to bring in her background knowledge as well. And, like you said, being an educator and a teacher, it's, it's a different viewpoment. And I think it hopefully helps us better serve our families and understand, the needs of our kids, how we can best support everybody. In being their best runners, students, family members. So thank you for saying that.
All right, awesome. So, comadres, I am going to end the episode how I usually end it, which is follow me at Comadreando Pod, and you can follow Suzie for Fast Feet on IG at. Can you drop your handle, please?
Yeah, it's just at fastfeetnyc.com. We have Instagram and a very new TikTok as well.
Oh, yay, that's fun.
Yeah. Our volunteers have been getting on us to start a TikTok. So, we'll start it and see how it goes.
It's going to be interesting. I feel like it draws in more of your audience, and then it connects to younger audiences as well.
Yeah.
So I've been notorious for falling into TikTok.
So I know that's what I'm afraid of. Yeah.
But it's also good to create other content that's gonna bring more awareness to your organization and put your name out there as well. So, if you have any questions for me or for Suzie, please feel free to send me a Comadre-Gram at my email, which is Marcy at comadreandopod.com, or slide up into my DMs. Thank you for spending time with your comadres. And thank you, Suzie, for being on the show. And thank you so much for being flexible and rescheduling with me. I know it's been a long time coming, but I'm so glad that we were able to record finally.
Oh, yeah, likewise. No worries. And thank you so much for having us and for wanting to share about Fast Feet. That means a lot to us. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I will see you guys next time. Entre Comadres.